Welcome to another edition of the Giants Huddle podcast, brought to you by Citizens, the official bank of the Giants. I'm John Schmelk. Today's guest from the Hackensack Marina Health podcast studio, Keep Getting Better. We now are joined by Giant safety Tyler Nubin. Nub, what's going on, man?
Not much, man. How you doing, John?
It's good to talk to you.
Yes,
always a pleasure. So you're going home. Little game in Chicago. So now, I know you played at Northwestern. Is this like your first home game, though, playing in Chicago?
Honestly, yes, for sure. Northwestern, we played there a couple times, but didn't have too many people there because, late in the season,
And it's not like in Chicago.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, but no, this definitely going to hit home for me.
How many people you have going?
Too many, man. Upwards of 20, for sure.
Really?
Yeah.
All right. Is it what are the emotions going on playing there? Is it like excitement? Is what is it?
Man, honestly, I've been thinking about this game for a long time just because, I remember growing up, my pops taking me to Bears games, being up there at Soldier Field. And, my first memory ever, being in there is telling my dad, man, I'm going to be down there one day. And, my dad was like, man, I think you are going to be down there one day. I'm like 5, 6 years old at this time. And he's like, man, it's going to take a lot to get there. He's like, it's going to take hard work. It's going to take dedication. He kind of mapped it out for me. And, I took it to heart and I believed it. And honestly, this is going to be definitely a welcome to the NFL, moment for me. Like when it finally sinks in, dang, I really made it.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Did you grow up a Bears fan?
I did, unfortunately.
Yeah, there wasn't a whole lot of joy.
Yeah, not too much. Not too much.
So, and they're welcoming you home in the proper Chicago way. We might get snow.
Mm-hmm.
You played in Minnesota, so we were chatting before we started. This is nothing to you, but are you kind of looking forward to playing in that Midwest weather?
Definitely. Yeah, I love playing in the cold. Way better than playing in the hot.
All right, so let's talk about this game and the matchup. You have a lot of connections with a lot of these guys in the Bears. You were in the draft class with both Rome and Caleb,
yeah.
right? In college, you played against both Munningai and Loveland, Rutgers and Michigan. So let's start with their passing game first. Caleb Williams, when you watch him on tape, you did not play him in college.
No.
But from what you know about him, what are the things that you guys got to do to kind of deal with his special skills? And correct me if you think I'm wrong. Just ridiculous arm talent.
Yep.
And once he gets moving, he could be rolling left and he throws back to the other side of the field. The ball can go anywhere.
Right. Like you said, he's got incredible arm talent, man. I think he can make every single throw on the field. There's not a throw that they don't trust him to make. They do a lot of those, sails, comebacks to the field, and he's firing them. So he's definitely got a crazy arm talent. But I think the thing that makes him most dangerous is just his ability to extend plays. So you got to defend not just the first play, but the second play, because once he breaks the pocket, they're really good at their scramble rules. Guys getting open, guys, making sure they're given just a little bit of space, and Caleb's going to be able to put that in there. So it's definitely going to be a challenge, but it's going to be fun.
Yeah, that throw I was thinking about was one to DJ Moore a couple of weeks ago. It was rolled to the left, danced around, and then he kind of just threw it to Moore right over the shoulder. Unbelievable throw. And then they have different weapons, right? I mentioned DJ Moore. Then you have Roma Dunze. He's kind of your bigger receiver. They have a couple tight ends that can catch it. Even Zacchaeus, their third wide receiver, he's had a really good year this year. All those guys. What is it about the variety of their weapons in the passing game that makes their passing attack dangerous?
Then they got a lot of different guys that can do different things. Like you said, DJ Moore, he's kind of like a running back in the receiver body. Gadget guy, can do everything, but can still take you deep and, make those 50-50 catches. Rome, he's definitely a guy, bigger receiver, but he can run every single route. So they got a lot of versatile guys. And, one thing that I will commend them on, they're very physical in the run game. All the receivers, they're willing blockers. They're definitely gonna, get dirty in there, and they're not afraid to, go in there and throw a shoulder, throw some hands in the run game.
Huddle up, get in here. If you're lined up here, you gotta go over the middle with it to score.
Right. How do we make that happen?
I don't know.
But Citizens does.
Make sense of your money with Citizens, official bank of Eli Manning.
But you mentioned the run game. Let's get to that next. They didn't have DeAndre Swift last week. Kyle Munningai, the rookie out of Rutgers, steps in there and he rushes for 175 yards. Looked great doing it, too. Give me the little scouting report on him. I looked it up. You played him in your junior year, I believe, in Minnesota. Really productive running back in college. What are the things that maybe he and Swift do a little bit differently, but what do they do maybe similarly just based on how they work their run game?
I think definitely they're both really, really great vision guys. They can make every single cut. They're going one way, and a lot of their offense is, outside stretch zones that can cut back and can cut up, giving these guys the ability to use their talents and what they're best at, which is, I think is finding those creases and putting their foot in the ground and getting north. So that's what makes it like really, really hard, because you never know where they're going to cut it up. Because both of them are really good at that, finding those creases. So that's what I think, both of them do really well. And, they're both bigger guys and they run hard.
You mentioned the outside runs. That's something that at times the last couple of weeks have given your defense some issues, right? Mm-hmm. What are some of the things that you guys, when you've looked back and now looking ahead to the Bears, that you need to do better on some of those outside runs, whether, again, it's the outside zone, it's the pin pull stuff, whatever the type of scheme it is. What do you guys need to do better to prevent some of those explosive plays, which the Bears are so good at getting on those outside runs?
I think it's just playing team football, man, and just trusting and knowing where the guys in front of you are going to be and going to shoot your gun, not being hesitant, and letting those guys on the offensive end, come and knock you off, because those outside runs, a lot of those linemen they're running and they're running fast and they're coming on the beeline. Most times they're going to have leverage on us, so getting over, playing the gap and a half, being able to be physical and be downhill, and trusting the guys in front of you that they're going to do their job so you can play faster and do yours. So not everybody's hesitating and waiting to see where the ball's going to go. Just everybody going downhill and attacking.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that, because people talk about tackling, and obviously that's really important. Mm-hmm. But when you talk about angles and getting to the area fast so you don't get blocked, how much of that is having confidence that you know where you have to insert based on what's going on in front of you with the first two levels of the defense too?
It's everything. I think knowing where you're going is more important than actually getting there. Because you can play that much faster. You know what I mean? Once you know that, my 3 technique's going to play over this back block, I know that I'm not worried about the ball potentially going and spilling out front side. So now I can play back and I can play behind the ball and I can beeline right to his back hip. And I know he's probably going to cut back right to me. So things like that, little nuances in our defense where, we're playing certain things, and if you know where your guy's going to be, you can just play that much faster. How
can stuff like that make you either look late or make an angle look bad just because maybe some little detail in how the front's supposed to be played and how you're reacting off of that? How much can that make those other two things look off? Right. 100%, like everything. I think especially for my position, safety, we're the last line of defense. So, on the TV copy, when the run breaks and, we're not there and, maybe I'm a little hesitant because, something happens up front that, I wasn't expecting. That honestly, like that plays a huge part into it. And, that's what they're going to see on the TV copy. Obviously, they don't, announcers, people don't know, exactly what the defensive scheme is going to be. None of us are in the meetings, right? Right, exactly, right, exactly. So that's why things can look like, oh man, like it looks like, he wasn't in his spot, he wasn't in his spot, he was supposed to be here, but there's so much that goes into it, and when not everybody's on the same page, that's what it looks like. And even just things like leverage, right? Like attacking the inside shoulder versus the outside shoulder, little things like that can make all the difference. When you have, Micah McFadden was there, he gets hurt. Darius Muasaza, now he's hurt. And now the corners even too, right? Being forced players on the edge, guys moving in and out, that can change all those angles, right? Right, 100%, man. It's on all of us to make sure that we're getting ourselves prepared for those type of things, especially with the personnel that we have right now, and knowing that there's guys shifting in and out of the lineup. We just gotta be great, as a unit, just making sure that we're really emphasizing exactly where everybody's supposed to be. Now, we're recording this on Thursday, so we don't know, but we have seen Javon Holland back on the practice field this week. Cordell Flott's back on the practice field. What would it mean to the defense having those guys back out there with you? It would be huge, man. They're both huge playmakers for us, man. I call Flott Mr. Consistent because he just does it week in and week out, man. And it's a sense of calm when he's out there because you know what you're gonna get from him. And then Javon, he's an incredible player, man. He's a game changer. So having them both back would definitely be great. What was the challenge trying to work with so many different pieces? Obviously, Dane is someone that you've worked with a lot. I'm sure that wasn't that different, right? No. But when you throw that in, then you throw in Corey Black, who's here as a late round pick. He leaves, he comes back. Deontay coming in and out. What was it like trying to get all you guys on the same page the last couple of weeks, especially even in the middle of that Broncos game, right? Yeah. The two guys go down the middle of the game. You're trying to figure things out in the fourth quarter, trying to get yourselves in sync, given we know how the defense really has to play on a string and play together. Yeah, it's tough, man. I mean, this sport,
it's really hard to just Rolodex guys in, especially when you don't know their play style, how they're going to play. There's certain things, me and Flott do on the field that we don't even have to communicate on. He's just going to see me do something, I see him do something, and I'm used to seeing him do that, so I know how to play off of it. Once you get a new guy in there, it's kind of, you play a little bit slower, not just because you're worried about him, but that's just the nature of the game. You're going to play a little bit slower because you're not used to playing with that guy. So it's definitely difficult, but it's not impossible. We're professionals for a reason. So, we could definitely have been way better at that, making sure that, we're ready to go with anybody who's in there. But, it's definitely difficult just bringing in new guys every week at that position, at very important positions especially.
If you want to know how to manage 2 minutes of crunch time football, I'm your man. But if you're wondering about a long-term financial plan, you should talk to Citizens. Hey, I can also talk lawn care.
I'd like to learn about a mowing routine.
Yes, I knew I could help. Make sense of your money with Citizens.
We talked about the team. Let's talk about you. I know it's midway point of the season. It's not really a midpoint anymore because there's 17 games. When you look back at how this year has gone for you personally so far, what have you seen when you've kind of reviewed yourself on tape?
Man, I feel like I've been a little up and down, honestly. Not having, exactly the year I want, but I feel like that's a part of the process, and I'm learning. There's still things that I still got to go through, still got to learn, still got to mess up in order to get to be the player that I want to be. But I got great coaches, great teammates that keep believing in me and keep pushing me to be great, and I'm keep going.
What are the things that you're really trying to focus in on that maybe you were disappointed in, that you're trying to really firm up, get better, and make more consistent for the rest of the year?
Man, just making sure I'm, always being the guy that can save the day. Whether a run breaks out or, we might have a coverage bust, being that guy that's safety, the safety, being able to, put the cape on, save the day at the end of the day, and do my job consistently. I think that's the biggest thing that I'm focusing on, and getting the football as well.
And I think that makes sense. So let me ask you that. Why do you think the defense hasn't been able to take away the football as much this year? I know that was a big focus for you guys coming off of last year when I think you had 3 interceptions as a group last year. You wanted to get more. Right. Why do you think that hasn't come together as a team as much as you would have liked this year?
I'm not sure. I feel like it's kind of hard to tell right now. Because you're in the middle of it. Sure. So it's kind of hard to, take a step back and see it from a wide angle. But the season's not over, and, I'm still very confident in our group that, we're going to get our hands on the ball very, very soon.
You talked about being the safety, and the Lions, the Bears, they want to make explosive plays. I say the Lions because Ben Johnson came from the Lions, they're trying to make explosive plays, right? And that's what they're trying to do. And we talked about the run game and the pass game, the way he marries them together with the play action, and then they try to make big plays down the field. So as a safety, you combine their power run game, their big play run game, then Caleb Williams can hold it. That can open things up. You got to respect the run. You got speed, deep size guys downfield. As a safety, what are some of the things that you think about and worry about every play when you know how well Ben Johnson links the run and the pass and uses play action at a big personnel so well?
Yeah, I think the main focus that you got to have, especially as a safety, is just eye discipline, because he's going to make everything look the same. So there's not really a beat that you can get too much pre-snap of what the play is going to be. You just got to be able to see the differences in, all right, if he takes a step this way, it's run. If he takes a step this way or back, it's play action. You know what I mean? So just having eye discipline and being able to see that, because that's exactly what they want you to do. That's why they motion and jet so much, so that your eyes go from your key to, oh wow, there's a jet come, hut. You know what I mean? Like now you're not too focused on your key, and he's already flashing back. He's already, you know what I'm saying? So that's kind of their offense as a whole, is just making sure that your eyes are not in the right place.
And they have 2 tight ends that can block and catch, by the way, which is, you guys on offense did that. I know you're not watching Giants tape, but when you had Bellinger and Theo Johnson, the threat of the run game, both guys can catch it.
Yep.
They have the same thing with Command and Loveland, right?
Yeah, I think it's super tough, and I think it's something that we're used to seeing, obviously, with Theo and Belly in there, stuff that we've seen all camp. But that's what makes it super hard, because can't have like a guy like Manhurts, you come in and you're like, oh wow, it's a run because he's in there. But both those guys, they're incredible tight ends, man. Both of them can make all the catches, and they're both really physical in the run game.
All right, and last question, and you mentioned eye discipline, so I'll end here. I'm not sure any team runs more trick plays than the Chicago Bears. Caleb Williams, our buddy Dan Salmon upstairs pulled this. first time a quarterback had more than one reception in a game, I think, since the 50s.
Wow.
Or something like that.
Yeah.
So they do crazy stuff. As a safety, and again, you talk about it, last line of defense. When they do trick plays, you're the guy they're targeting. Yep. You're the guy they want to mess up so they can get an 80-yard touchdown catch. Do you review their prior trick plays? Like, a lot of these things are unique, so there's no film on them. How do you get ready for an offense that runs so many gadgets and trick plays?
Man, I mean, you really can't. Honestly, you just got to be keen and really all on your keys every single play, and you gotta know the situations that they're gonna run them in. So, there's definitely certain situations that you can get a key on as to, all right, trick play might come
like
here.
Like midfield, second and short, right?
Midfield, second and short. Down the score. I mean, those are things that you can anticipate, but I don't think there's any way to really tell. All right, they're gonna run a trick play here. You gotta play it.
Tyler, this is great, man. I appreciate
awesome,
it.
man. Appreciate it.
Tyler Nubin, John Soto Podcast. We thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time, everybody.